Good afternoon and welcome to the October 26, 2023 regular board meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional District. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 1:33 p.m. and acknowledge that the Sunshine Coast Regional District is within the territory of the Sechelt and Squamish First Nations. The first order of business is to note that we have an amended agenda before us. Is there any additional additions to the agenda? No? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adopt the agendas? I see a motion made and a seconder. All those in favor? Thank you. The first order of business is to go in camera, and if there's anybody in the attendees list that is not going to be joining the in camera, I would ask them to leave the meeting, and when we come back to open, I'll have a 5-minute recess to make sure everybody can join, and I suggest you watch the YouTube feed, and we'll announce that we have returned, and there will be a 5-minute recess. So, I believe Coast Reporter, I would be looking. Good afternoon and welcome back to the October 26, 2023 regular board meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional District. We will be taking a 5-minute recess so that interested parties can relog back into the virtual room, and we'll return in 5 minutes. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome back to the regular board meeting of October 26, 2023. Our next item of business is number 2, which is the regular board minute meetings of October 12th, 2023, which is Annex A, pages 4 to 8. Are there any errors or omissions within the minutes? Hearing none, may I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Yes, Director Stamford, seconded by Director McMahon. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, we have no business arising from the minutes or unfinished business? No, seeing none. We have no presentations and delegations. So that moves us to reports, which is item number 3, and it's committee minutes. And the first is Committee of the Whole recommendations numbers 1 to 4 and 6 to 8 of October 12th, 2023, which is Annex B, pages 9 to 11. Okay. What do I need now? Let me catch up here for a second. Okay, before we adopt the recommendations in a block, would any directors like to pull any of the recommendations for separate consideration? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adopt? Director McMahon, seconded Director Stamford. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the Electoral Services Area Committee recommendations numbers 1 to 15 of November 19th, 2023, which is Annex C, pages 12 to 16. Before we adopt these recommendations as a block, would any director like to pull any of the recommendations for separate consideration? So I don't hear any. Can I have a motion to adopt? Director McMahon, seconded by Director Gabius. No further discussions. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Item number 5 is the Finance Committee recommendations numbers 1 to 4 of October 19th, 2023, Annex D, pages 17 to 18. Before we adopt these as a block, would any director like to pull any of the recommendations for separate consideration? No. Can I have a motion to adopt then? Director Toth, seconded Director McMahon. All those in favor? Any opposed? No, it's carried. Okay, so now we're moving on to item number 6, which this is our staff report section. And it's cover and aggregate material for Seashell landfill contract award. It's Annex E, pages 19 to 21. This is changed, so it's a separate item, but the recommendations are still the same. GM Rosenboom.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to request a contract approval for the delivery of materials for us to cover our solid waste at the Seashell landfill. This report and the 3 other reports, staff would have, we're trying to get them in a more timely manner to the board for the decision. Due to some unforeseen staffing circumstances, we're not able to do so. Hence, they were really all with you for your consideration in such a late moment, given the pending end of the current contracts. Our apologies for that. So this contract is for up to 7 years, with an annual budget of $150,000, and the recommendation is to award it to Celis Soils or Celis Environmental Group, as they're called officially.
Thank you. Yes, Director Toth, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, noting that this is for up to 7 years, but our landfill is going to be full potentially in 2026. So I guess, what are our obligations under this for any remaining years past the life of the landfill? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. The contract is for up to 7 because it's actually 5 and 2 additional years. 5 years from now is indeed 2028 because we are hopeful that with some of the measures we currently are working on, we can extend the lifespan of the landfill for several years past 2026. So that's why there's a 5-year plus 2. And a lot of materials are also required for the actual closure of the landfill. So even if we were to close it, and even if it would reach maximum capacity, let's say in 2026, before it's ultimately finally closed, it will be 2028 anyway. So there is a buffer there as well. Thank you.
Okay, is there any further questions? Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to adopt the recommendations on page 19? Yes, Director McMahon, please.
As you said, motion to adopt the recommendations.
Do we have a seconder? Yes, Director Stamford. No further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Ooh, Director Toth is opposed. Would you like it recorded? Yes, thank you. I'm just turning the page here. Okay, we're on to item number 7, which is request for proposal 2235001, contract award, drywall testing and abatement services. It's Annex F, pages 22 to 24. Again, it's voting all directors, weighted votes listed on the report. And J.M. Rosenboom, some comments on this one, please?
Thank you very much, Chair. SRD is accepting drywall at both our facilities, Pender transfer station, as well as Seashell landfill. We are not accepting or burying any asbestos contaminated drywall at our Seashell landfill. So we are requiring a lot of testing materials to be, paper materials to be provided with any load that comes in. However, occasionally there's still something slips through the cracks, and we have a load that turns out to be contaminated, and then we have to abate it before because it's not accepted at our drywall recycling facility. So we have a testing program in place as well as an abatement program for several years now. So the purpose of this report is to get into new contracts with these 2 companies, PGL and Proactive Hazmat Environmental, for the testing as well as for the abatement of any contaminated loads at our Seashell landfill facility. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Director Bax, please.
Yeah, so it's straightforward that one company is going to be testing and then, but abating, what is that? What are they going to do to abate the contaminated drywall? Do they bury it somewhere else? What do they do? Do they ship it out into space?
GM, please.
Thank you for the question. Abatement actually means that it's transported in a safe manner to a site where it can be buried.
Off coast.
Off coast.
Yes. Director Toth, please.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm just looking to confirm, right now, we're only accepting drywall with date stamps as per our website. Is it planned that this would allow us to change that policy to then accept other drywall again? Or is this to abate stuff that's slipping in with the drywall that we're only accepting that has date stamps on it?
Jim?
Thank you for the
Rosenberg?
question. It's the later. We're only accepting drywall loads with date stamps. However, if you have a large truckload coming in and the pieces that are on top all have date stamps and staff are checking that, yet they got date stamps, there still might be those other pieces somewhere in there. So the testing, when those pieces are tested and it's a positive hit, the entire container, the entire load is contaminated, is considered contaminated from that point onwards. So even the smallest piece means a positive hit for the entire load. So then the entire load needs to be abated.
Thank you. Director Stamford?
It's a more general question. How long has this program been going on, and does this mean that there is asbestos drywall lower down in the landfill?
Thank you for the question. This program was initiated several years ago based on actually our recycling facility is under their permits with the province not allowed to accept drywall. So they were receiving frequent positive asbestos loads from us, and we had to abate them. But they were at that point that they were not accepting any loads at all anymore from us because there were too many positive hits. So at that point, we initiated the testing program at our facility to ensure that those loads would not even make it to the recycler. And the recycler is the only gypsum recycler in BC.
Thank you. Director Bax, please.
So I'm to understand that there's no facility for recycling of older asbestos contaminated drywall, and we're legally bound to not accept this material, but now we're taking it and abating it but I'm just wondering how we can keep people from dumping drywall into the forest, because that's an issue. And if we can't create a system where they can bring drywall to the landfill for abatement, then that kind of action is going to continue to happen. Do you see any solutions to this issue? Well, I see, but if I have a load of drywall and I know that it has asbestos in it, where can I bring it? Is there anywhere on the Sunshine Coast? No. Is there anywhere in the Lower Mainland?
If you have a load with back up the truck. You should not have, if you follow the proper procedures, asbestos-containing drywall should stay on your wall, and you should not take it off yourself, because that's a safety risk for yourself. So you should hire an abatement company, and they would bring it to the same place where this would be brought right now, which is buried to safe side and transported in a safe way. So if you have, that's why residents, they need to test, regardless of what they would like to do, they need to test if it's contaminated. They get an abatement company and get it shipped in a safe manner for disposal. If it's brought to landfill, it's rejected because the test results are showing positive. If the test results are negative and they are willingly putting something in there that's still contaminated and it's picked up by us or by the testers at our recycler facility, then we have to abate it. Then we have to pick up the cost, and that this contract is for that purpose.
Thank you. Yes, Director Toth, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment that, back when our landfill was a hole in the ground, people would still dump in the forest because they just couldn't be bothered to take it to the dump and get rid of it properly. I'm really not supportive of these contract awards being funded from taxation or fees of people that are trying to do the right thing just because of a couple of bad actors. Have we spent any time looking at other options, including not recycling drywall anymore? I know it's a terrible thing to say in 2023, but would it be cheaper or more practical for us to simply ship all our drywall off to be buried? Or amend our permit to allow for the burial of contaminated drywall again? Thank you.
Yes, GM, please.
Thank you for your question. I know that our manager of solid waste has some ideas about improvements on the coast and is discussing and is in discussion also with the private sector on how to collaboratively improve the testing and abatement at a more community level to make sure that that the processes are in place so that less is coming to the landfill and less slippage is happening.
Thank you. Did you have a follow-up question, or is it a different one?
Thank you, Chair. It's sort of a follow-up question because
Okay.
not really knowing what other options we're looking at. Have we talked to other customers of New West Gypsum that might have been flagged to see what options they might be looking at? Because rather than each of us trying to invent the wheel, maybe there's an option that we can, maybe somebody else has figured it out and we can follow suit with them. Thanks.
Yes, GM. Rosenboom, please.
Thank you for the question. I think there were several years ago when Manager Cooper was still our manager of solid waste. We did some analysis and jurisdictional scan on what other jurisdictions were doing and explored even the option of not, I think at that time we presented even the option to the board of not accepting it all or shipping it all off coast. And at that time the board decided that continuing to accept clean drywall was the preferred option and would one avoid a lot of dumping illegally while still providing a service to customers that are adhering to the rules. I hear you that it is a lot of money and to be funded by a lot of people that are doing a good job.
Thank you. Yes, Director McMahon, please.
So in future, when our landfill 2.0, we either have a new, beautiful landfill or we're shipping garbage off coast, will we still have this problem or will we be able to dispose of contaminated drywall?
Yes, GM.
Currently, our landfill is unlined, so we have no liner at the bottom. And that's actually one of the limiting factors. So, because of reach of leachate. So if we have a new landfill, most likely it will be lined. So most likely it will be lined, double lined most likely. And so it's very likely, I expect that we at that time can accept it.
Thank you. Seeing no more questions, would someone care to make a motion? Yes, Director McMahon. Page 22.
I'm moving the recommendations on page 22.
Can I have a seconder? Yes, Director Bax. All those in favor? Any opposed? Director Toth, would you like that recorded? Thank you. Okay. We're on to item number 8, which is metal container hauling and recycling services contract extension. GM Rosenboom, you're getting to do a lot of talking today. Would you like to introduce this for us, please?
Yes, I will do this one as well. One of the services providing is at the Seashell and Penne landfill is recycling of metals. Those metals are brought to a recycling facility, and we're actually receiving revenue from any materials delivered there. Based on the amount of revenue we receive is based on the type of materials we brought there and the market price of those materials. However, there is still, for budget purposes, we still need to have, we cannot count on revenue to be generated, so we still need to fund that as if there is no revenue, because it could be that at some point there is no revenue. And we still need to have the authorization to actually enter into the contract. So this contract extension report that's in front of you is to extend our contract for hauling of the materials to our recycling facility for an additional 1 year with Celis Environmental Group. And staff are happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Director Toth, please.
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the bottom of page 25 and the top of page 26, it talks about the approved annual budget for the service, $333,000. The original contract value is $390,000. Clearly, there was an overage there based on tonnage, I'm assuming. I don't remember. The first contract extension here, what we're being asked for today is $320,000. Recognizing that that is less than the 333, I just wanted some clarity on recommendation 4. Is the amount that's going to be included in the financial plan the 333 that's been budgeted previously? Or is it going to be the 320 of the contract and we hope we don't go over? Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Good point. Happy to clarify that we're currently not proposing to amend the financial plan, so the 330 will stay in the financial plan, and so there's a $10,000 buffer there between the contract value and what's currently in our budget. Thank you.
Follow up, please.
Actually, I'm going to move the recommendations on page 25 as
Oh,
presented.
thank you very much. I see seconder, Director McMahon. No further discussions. I'll call the question. All in favor? Hey, any opposed? No. Thank you, Director Toth. Annex H. Where the heck is it? Seashell Landfill Operations Contract Extension. Annex H, pages 27, 29. General Manager Rosenboom, please.
Last time today. The landfill, the actual active phase of the landfill, so actually the burying of the landfill, the covering with the cover materials, is done by an operator. We have that outsourced currently, and we had a 10-year contract with them between 2012 and 2022, December 1st, 2022. With Scotty Bulldozing. Last year, we entered into a new contract with them for 1 year with a 1-year extension option. And the intent was for us to, within this first year, to assess what our best options were to actually operate the landfill moving forward. And that would also buy us some time to align that option with the actual lifespan of the landfill and how long that would be. Due to primarily staffing circumstances of last year, the progress on assessing alternative options or any of the options to long-term options to for the operations of the landfill is still underway. So we're seeking approval from the board to extend the contract for 1 year until November 30 next year. And we hope to get back to the board early in the next year with more information on the options to operate the landfill past that date and seek board direction on next steps there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I must say, it's nice to have you back. You're sure extremely knowledgeable. It's nice to see. Director Bax, please.
Yeah, these contracts where we find ourselves up against the wall because we only have a single compliant bidder on the job is, I think it's really important for the regional district to look at these things as an in-house thing. If we can't get people competing for the business, I think it's something that we need to do for ourselves in order to not be in the position that we're in right now with this contract. And I understand that there's been shortfalls with staffing. And so I really look forward to a new solution to this problem.
Didn't hear a question there. Okay, Director Toth, please.
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the value of the increase, which is the 32,910, middle of page 28, it says recommended to be funded through taxation. And it's a small amount. I'm just curious as to why taxation and not user fees. And the other question to go with this, is this, other than the $20,000 for additional works, is this effectively a fixed price contract? Like there's no variability to this contract? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. To answer your second part first, is the variability, there is a base amount and there is an amount for additional work. For example, sometimes there is additional work required to move some materials on, to do some work on at the drop-off area itself, or there is some erosion that need to be repaired with the bulldozer, etc. So there is a small amount set included for that kind of work, and of course that's based on that's only spent as required. In terms of why funded from taxation versus tipping fees, given all the other expenditures that are already funded from tipping fees, we didn't foresee a lot of room there to allow this to be funded from tipping fees. So that's why we're proposing taxation. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Bax, did you have your hand up still? Oh, okay. Could I have, yes, Director McMahon?
Like to move the recommendations on page 27.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Yes, Director Stanford, thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Director Bax, would you like that recorded? Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. We're now on to Office of the CAO Monthly Report. CAO, Mr. McKinley.
Thank you very much, Chair. First thing I wanted to do, and you actually beat me to it a little bit, Chair. I wanted to just take a moment to welcome back GM Remco Rosenboom and Communications Manager Aidan Buckley. It's great to have both of them back in the fold with us, and it is wonderful to have you here at the table today, Remco, and thank you. A lot of work continuing on strategic planning as we look to finalize that. I wanted to acknowledge the really positive and collaborative efforts of the board, our senior leadership team, the staff who participated, and the tremendous job that's been done by our facilitator, Juniper Belshaw. We've been working a lot with our finance staff, led by our Chief Financial Officer, Tina Perot, on budget prep as we work to provide you with some potential proposals for round one budget coming up. And that's been keeping us quite busy as well. I've been doing a lot of preparatory work with our consultant that's going to be coming in and conducting interviews as part of our organizational review later this month with an eye to having a final report to the board for consideration by mid to late January. And a lot of work's been going in, partnering with our neighbors at Shechelle and the town of Gibsons and District of Sechelt on planning for the upcoming Water Summit 4. And that's a little bit of what's been going on at my end. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I think we let them off a little easy, you guys. Do you have any questions? No? Lucky it's a long day. Okay, well then we'll move on to communications. Item number 11, which is from Karen Spicer, Vice President of Roberts Creek Community Association, dated October 12, 23, and it's regarding a letter of support request for the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program grant. It's Annex I, page 30. And I see Director Bax, you have your hand up?
Yes. Yeah, there's also another item on page 31 that is also a request for a letter of support for the BC Gaming Grant. The Economic Development Grant is to allow, it's a provincial grant to allow for the
Can we just do them one at a time so I get it
Sure.
clear?
Okay, so the Economic Development Grant, as it appears on page 30, is to allow for the hiring of an employee to actively search out clients for the community hall, for the kitchen, to hire out the kitchen and to hire out the hall. It's a grant available through the provincial government, as I said. And I'd like to move that we create a letter of recommendation for Waysome Roberts Creek Community Association to show support and to have that letter created and signed by the chair and delivered to the community association by the 30th of October.
And that's a letter for funding from the Province of BC Destination Development Fund.
Correct.
Okay. I hear that motion. I see a second from Director Toth. Is there any further discussions on that? Yes, Director McMahon?
Sorry, I'm trying to find the right page in here. I know the economic development deadline is October 30th. I thought the gaming deadline was November 30th. So
We're just doing
the first one.
We're just doing the first one, so we get it right, yes.
Right, okay. I'll shut up now.
So the second part is to approve it today.
We're still working on the first one, right? Okay.
Okay. Director White, please.
Do we know if any other nonprofits or even local governments are applying for the same fund in Sunshine Coast?
I believe Director McMahon has some knowledge on this.
Yes, I checked in with Scredo on this, and the Roberts Creek Community Association had been in touch with Scredo. They're supporting a number of local organizations to apply for this pot of money, including the Coast Cultural Alliance. The province last time around for the intake doubled the amount of money that they were handing out, and word got out, so now everybody's applying. But Scredo is supportive, and they're sending a letter of support as well.
Right, but only one has asked us for a letter of support, evidently. Yeah. Okay.
Are we ready to call the question then? Okay. You understood the motion? Yes, we're all good? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Director Bax, for doing that. And we'll move on to item 12, which is very similar, except it's a letter of support requesting a letter of support for a BC Gaming grant. It's Annex J, page 31. And I see your hand up, Director Bax, please.
Yeah, so this is a gaming grant that the BC government gives out in order to support the community events program that the Roberts Creek Community Association engages in, including Earth Day, Creek Days, the Higgly Piggly Parade, Eek in the Creek, it's the family Halloween party coming up, the Christmas potluck, and other events. So again, I ask the board to consider writing a letter of recommendation to support this this grant application for the Hoysam Roberts Creek Community Association. And also, I didn't know that what the deadline was, but I don't see the point in delaying giving this letter before we can send it along with at the same timeline. So to have it finished and completed and in the hands of the Roberts Creek Community Association by October 30th.
Yes, I see that our staff is supportive of doing that. So, and you've got the motion, correct? I see a seconder, Director Gabius. Any further comments? No? I shall call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. We're moving on to item 13, which is Annex K, page 32 to 33. And it's from Kel Sillam, Chair, Squamish Nation, regarding land development strategies meeting invitation. Annex K. And I'd like to confirm with the CAO that this is for our information and staff are working on this.
Yes, it's just for your information, and staff are excited at the opportunity to have a meeting.
Thank you. Any further discussions? Director Stamford?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if there has been any contact with the staff and if there is some dates being considered, if this is actually active.
GM Rosenboom?
Thank you, Chair. A meeting is scheduled for in upcoming weeks between senior staff, SRD, and Nation.
Yeah, we're quite excited about this. It's good. Thank you. We have no more motions, but we do have bylaws. It's item 14, Sunshine Coast Regional District Board Procedures Amendment, bylaw number 717.3, 2023. And it's Annex L, pages 34 to 36. And I believe our Manager of Legislative Services, Ms. Hill, will talk to this.
Yes, thank you. This report introduces a proposed housekeeping amendment to the SCRD Board Procedures Bylaw 717, and this was in response to the board's request that the bylaw reading process be streamlined by combining first, second, and third readings by way of one motion for bylaws that don't require any additional legislative requirements. In response, bylaw amendment number 717.3 has been drafted and is being put forward for 3 readings.
Thank you. So we'll start with a motion to accept the recommendations on page 34, please. Yes, Director Stamford, Director Toth. Director Stamford, I see your hand up. Did you want to? No. Okay. No further discussions. I will call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Okay, so now I have to go to Annex. What page is that on? 36 is the next one. And I need a motion for first reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Board Procedures Amendment Bylaw number 717.3 of 2023. Can I, Director McMahon, Director Stamford, All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Second reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Board Procedures Amendment Bylaw Number 717.3 of 2023. Motion for second reading, Director McMahon, seconded Director Gabius. Any further questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. This will be third reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Board Procedures Amendment Bylaws Number 717.3 of 2023. Motion for third reading, Director Toss, seconded Director Stamford. No further discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? That is done. Thank you. We're now on to item number, beg pardon? No, it's not adoption yet. No, comes later. Unusual, but that's the way that this one's being done. Sorry. The question was, were we going to adopt today? And the answer is no, that comes later. Yes. So we're into item number 15, which is Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw Revision Authorization Bylaw number 760 of 2023. This is electoral area directors, 1 vote each. It's Annex M, pages 37 to 38. And I think I will just do the readings. Everybody ready? So this is, I'm looking for a motion for a first reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw Revision Authorization Bylaw number 760 of 2023. Can I have a motion for first reading, please? Director Stamford, second Director Gabius. Any discussions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Second reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw Revision Authorization Bylaw number 760 of 2023. Motion for second reading. Director McMahon, seconded Director Gabius. All in favor? Third reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw Revision Authorization Bylaw number 760 of 2023. Motion for third reading. Director McMahon, seconded by Director Gabius. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. This one is adoption of Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw Revision Authorization, Bylaw number 760 of 2023. Motion to adopt. Director McMahon, second Director Stamford. Call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I think we're down to number 16 now, as long as I'm not mixed up. This again is electoral area directors. It's 1 vote each. It's item number 16 of Annex N. And this here I'll read it out loud to you from page 39 to 188. You ready? No, I won't. Okay, this is I need a motion for first reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Bylaw number 722, 2019, revision bylaw number 761, 2023. Motion for first reading. Director Gabius, seconded Director McMahon. Any discussions? All those in favor? Any opposed? No. And second reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Bylaw number 722 of 2019, revision bylaw number 761, 2023. Motion for second reading. Director Gabius, seconded Director Stamford. Any discussions? No, we're all well aware of this one. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Oh. I get to turn the page. Oh. It's director's reports. I'm going to do something completely different. I'm going to start from that end. Director Stamford, please.
So this is highlights only because we want to get out of here. One of the things that I did, I think it was the week before last, was along with Director Bax. I attended the House on Community Forum at the Squamish Lillooet Cultural Center in Whistler. Our highlights for that included Capilano University is now reopening or working towards reopening their campus on the Quest University site. There was a biosphere update about where they're at. They're just reaching their second anniversary. You can go to their website and read more and understand their Unity plan, so there's a connection to them. The Unity plan is their vision for the biosphere going forward. It's very interesting. Another aspect was a request to local governments to register conserved and protected lands that would contribute towards BC and Canada's commitment to target 30 by 30 or 25 by 25. And there's various links for you to make that happen. I'm not sure if that's going to require a request from the board, but I'll look further into it. And finally, Karen Elliott, who's the former mayor of Squamish, she provided an outline of their community engagement process called Whistler's Dialogues, I think it was called, and Director Bax has a copy of that booklet. The other things highlights of other things I did, the fire service, Gibson's and area fire commission meeting. We had a interesting or shocking look at footage from a recent fire and just how quickly house fires can start. And it went from 0 to a full side of a house in 3 minutes. And we knew that the occupants were not aware of the fire after 3 minutes. So that was very shocking. Also, we outlined the importance of property setbacks and side setbacks especially. We also looked at possible budget items for the upcoming introduction for budget coming up. Another activity I did was the most cold and rainy day we've had to date this year. I attended the safety blitz at Langdale Elementary School. That was with ICBC, Vancouver Coastal Health, Bylaw, and there was one other individual. But we were examining the dangerous crossing area on the Port Mellon Highway, its impact on the elementary school, as well as the YMCA camp and a number of dangerous close calls that families have had in that area. And I think finally, the only other thing I'd like to mention is that the local Gambier Trust Committee, we did get a presentation from Connected Coast about specifics on their connections on the islands, but they also looked at their connections along the Sunshine Coast and how that will help increase connectivity to the more remoter areas on the coast. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Paul, please.
Thank you. Try to keep it short too. We'll be just going through some infrastructure stuff along Seashell Inlet Road, I believe, for safety upgrades, sidewalks and lights and stuff, trying to get that project going. As you all may see, there's some road modifications heading down from the Sewell Park subdivision that's going in. And we all know about delays in commissioning infrastructure. Our wastewater treatment plant in Wilson Creek is finally active and going to accept some stuff. So hopefully that gets going and stuff, whatever. So I think that's about it, really. Just little community stuff. Thanks.
I understand that you have a by-election coming up. Could you give us a little news on that?
I was trying to ignore that. No, just kidding.
Oh.
I forgot about it, actually. No, that's the advance poll is November 12th, and the main day is November 18th. So by the Monday, the 21st or whatever it is, we should have a new council member there. So.
Thank you. That's we're looking forward to a full complement again. Yes, it's kind of sad that we lost Shane, but it's the way it goes. I shall do mine before someone else picks up all my stuff. I must say I appreciated the ability to zoom in on that public hearing we recently had. And I had to congratulate Director Toss and Stamford on the way they handled that. It was well done. So thank you for doing that for us. Yes, public hearing, yeah. It's the first one for us. I had, on October 21st, I had an opportunity to go to the Armory in North Vancouver for a fellow by the name of Major Robert Archie Alliston. I had to make sure I got the Archie just for everybody. He is my alternate's husband, Christine Alexander, and he's retiring after 24 years of service. And I did a little talk and presented him with a letter of appreciation on behalf of Area A and all the representatives in Area A. I wish I would have been a little quicker and brought it to the board, so we all could have done it, but I was a little bit slow and they wouldn't let me cheat. So, and then we had Farah held a town hall on last Saturday. It packed the community hall, the big community hall in Madeira. There was over 200 people there. Instead of saying this was often enough, there was a request to say, why aren't you having them twice a year like you're supposed to? Which kind of surprised me. And there was lots of heavy topics discussed, including DMP and DRIP and UNDRIP. One particular boisterous guy got up and made some comments that borderline inappropriate, and he was shut down immediately. I was quite proud of the chairs in the committee, and they made it very clear that they wanted no more of that BS. So that's progress in Pender Harbor. Okay, thank you. Director McMahon.
Thank you. On Friday the 13th, I had a bad case of Friday the 13th, so I did not get to the Howe Sound Forum, but I did attend the AVICC executive meeting where we are still finishing off the transition to being independent from UBCM, and we're planning for the upcoming conference in April. Also attended the Fire Commission meeting, also gobsmacked by the video. The Fire Commission is going to meet again because the budget proposals weren't quite ready, so we're going back for another round, hopefully without another fire before the meeting. Also attended the Gibson's Library Board meeting that day. Also attended the public hearing in Area F, which was sort of a wonderful anticlimax. And on October the 18th, I held the Elphinstone Community Association meeting where I did my usual report. I crawled in the art crawl on the weekend and saw some pretty great venues. Didn't try to do everything. October 23rd, I attended the Scredo board meeting where they were working on governance and management issues. And of course, we were all at the strategic planning session on Tuesday, except for the fellow who was in Grand Forks. But it was a very good session, so thank you.
Thank you, Director McMahon. Director Gabius, please.
Thank you, Chair. Remembrance Day coming up, so poppy season is upon us, and I was very honored yesterday to be presented with one of the first poppies by the wonderful Bill McLean at the Seashell Legion, and I'm very grateful to him for that. Campaign starts tomorrow, so grab your poppies. I did attend the library board meeting a couple days yesterday. Still lots of activity at the library, of course. I encourage you to look at their programming. There's lots of good stuff there. They also met with our MLA to talk about their need for sustained funding as opposed to one-time funding pots. I also attended the road safety blitz at the Half Moon Bay Elementary School, and I got to see the Speed Watch program in live, which was very exciting. And they are looking for volunteers, so if anyone's interested in volunteering for the Speed Watch program, you can contact the RCMP. It looks pretty fun. I did attend the art crawl a little bit with Director McMahon at some point. Wonderful artists in Half Moon Bay. Everybody knows that. And couple of things coming up. Saturday I just wanted to remind you, I know I mentioned it last director report, but the Elder College is holding a free all-ages talk about Indigenous law on Saturday. And also there'll be a pumpkin trail in Half Moon Bay. This is a yearly event for us. It's going to be on Halloween night, 31st at 4 p.m. And the Lawn Road Connector Trail and the Frog Pond Trail now this year, a new addition, will be lit up with some beautiful pumpkins. And Lawn Road is where all the kids go and where all the good decorations are. So I encourage you to come and join us. And tonight is my community association's AGM, so I will be going to give them a little update. Thank you.
Thank you. Halloween. We learned that one of our directors from last year actually takes his daughter over to Seashell to trick and treat. We found that on the way home. I thought that was kind of cool. They know where the best candies are, I guess. Director Bax, please.
The best candies are on Mossy Rock Road. That's where the community puts all their candies on Halloween night. But I'm going to start back at Friday the 13th, which was a very lucky day. Fine. It's only really unlucky if you're a Templar Knight. I got on the first ferry on my motorcycle that day, and I biked up to Helping Hands in Squamish to look at their facility. I had a great tour of what they were doing up there. Really great work, and I hope that's something that we can have happen here on the Sunshine Coast. And then I continued on to the Howe Sound Community Forum, where Director Stanford was a great representation for the Sunshine Coast. And I finished the night at the Pender Harbor Music School, played a show there for a very appreciative audience of Pender Harborites, or Harbonians, how do you call yourself? Anyway, it was a really wonderful evening at a wonderful facility you have there. That's really nice. Then the Monday after that, I was the representative, I was the alternate for Director Gabias at the senior plannings table, and that was a really wonderful meeting, and made a lot of great connections, and I wrote a report on that I shared with all of you. I did the art crawl. I went around to visit mostly people that I know, and I didn't actually spend any money, which is a first. I've participated in 10 of the last 13 art crawls, and so it was nice to take a break. The strategic planning committee, the strategic planning that we did on Tuesday was just fantastic. I thought it was a really great way to bring it all together. I will be tomorrow night and Saturday night, and on the 31st, I'm going to be one of the actors in the haunted hospital that Kim Darwin is putting on in the district of Seashell on U Road as a fundraiser for the food bank, and not appropriate for children. I will be playing an amputee doctor. I've also got the Joint Child Care Committees coming up next month. On the 30th, I will be joining the Thriving Communities Council, which is a wonderful group of NGOs and electeds that put together, that try to talk about how we can work hand in hand to create a better Sunshine Coast. It's a really interesting group, and we've signed on now to meet every month. And besides that, Remembrance Day is coming up, and I'm going to represent the board at the Roberts Creek Legion. Thank you.
Thank you. played at the music school in Pender. Did you tell them you were a director?
I try to keep those parts of my life separate.
Oh, okay. Director Toff, please.
Thank you, Chair. Not a lot to report. In the last couple weeks here, we're starting a master plan process for the airport here on Field Road. The idea is to consider sort of land use, layouts, economic potential, even possible future technology considerations. It was really cool because the consultant that's been brought in to help us develop this is aware of where the industry is going with drones and alternative fuel sources. And so it's going to be a really interesting plan as it moves forward through its process. So we had a kickoff sort of council workshop to provide our initial input. It's going to go out to the community. I know that the Seashell Nation is going to be a part of the next sort of round of engagement. Just looking forward to how that comes back. Disaster resilience and response was a sort of a common theme of all of council. One of our highest priorities for sure. So that's really all I have right now. Thanks.
Thank you. Expanding your airport.
Seeing how we can get the regional district to chip in.
Oh. I had to get that comment out of you. Director White, please.
One highlight for Gibson's is we're particularly at the senior level, we've got a good complement of staff, like probably best feeling having it the complement filled. Going back to the best situation, like going back to pre-COVID, I would say, of having permanent people in their spots. We just hired a new CFO named Simon Couture. He came from the Francophone School District, and I had the pleasure of meeting him the other day. Very enthusiastic and learning the ropes from Lorraine, who we're very sorry to see her go, but she's sticking around to help Simon learn the ropes, so that's great. And we've got a new manager of maintenance and operations, and I actually don't know his last name, but it doesn't matter because his first name is Daniel, which is the same name as the last guy we had, so that makes it really convenient. That's the key part. His name's Daniel. Speaking of maintenance and operations, a lot of work that has been going on in the town recently, or one of the big projects, has been, unfortunately, the demolition of the kind of platform at the wharf in front of Grandma's Pub, which is just it was determined to be dangerous last year, and so it had part of it. It actually had to be closed down for a while, and now it's being taken out completely. So there's just going to be a gap there, unfortunately. We'll have to make sure there's safety precautions around there. Watch your step. And I mean, speaking of I know ports is a hot topic here, and we're definitely incurring our own expenses in the town for our harbor and wharf area there. It's a very expensive project, unfortunately, part of that is probably going to have to be, if it's going to be rebuilt, that's going to be a cost to the business beside it too. But we're having to take on this demolition. The Gibson Shelter is open. Just opened last week. It's a nightly shelter, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and has 10 beds, and they haven't been anywhere near capacity so far. So that might be good news, but it's available at the St. Bart's Church, and of course, people often travel from Seashell by bus to use it as well. So it's a regional service. Speaking of that, something that I haven't spoken a lot about or has not got a lot of attention yet is that we've actually successfully started an outreach program in the town of Gibson's, homelessness outreach supported by BC Housing. So we're now an official, I guess, service for BC Housing for outreach, and it is considered to be regional too. We've got an outreach worker who started with us with temporary funding. It was the Strengthening Community Services funding that was a COVID restart, but now we've got permanent funding going forward, and that homelessness outreach worker is sometimes in Sechelt, sometimes has even gone up to Pender Harbor. So it's a great program, and one of the projects she's been working on lately is to actually get a transitional housing program started in Gibson's, where we'll help to rent a home, and she'll support probably three people who will be in the program doing transitional housing, because that's been seen as such a huge need in our housing spectrum and that's been brought up by Cover the Coast recently, and that there are not a lot of pathways out of supportive housing for people who go there. So this is a good way for people who are trying to find their feet, and usually probably going to be people who are sober or working on recovery, a place for them to do that. So that's a really great program we've got going in Gibson's. And when I think about some of the work that our staff has taken on, taking a lot of time for staff recently too. Another one is hockey, in working with the hockey nonprofit and working with the SCRD in getting the building built on town land and arranging parking and everything like that. It's a big task that it has to be done in a short period of time, and the local governments are putting in a lot of work to support that.
Thank you. It was very interesting. Had to make a lot of notes here so I can remember. Well, thank you, directors. It was excellent reports. There is no new business, so we will adjourn, and then we will have questions. I think that's the normal process here. So Director Toth, motion to adjourn, seconded Director Gabius. All in favor? Yes. Now, is there any questions? There's no one in the gallery. How about in the virtual gallery? Any questions from the virtual gallery? Yes. Could you add oh, she's in. Connie. Yes.
I'm sorry, I was just going to let you know I didn't have any questions, but thank you very much.
I can answer that one then. Thank you, Connie. Okay, so we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.